We call this meeting to order. We have a couple of public hearings tonight. Well, number one, we got an ordinance to amend the city sign ordinance. And Mr. Stoltz, wait, before we do the public hearing, there's something we need to do. And we'll just do this first. Ladies and gentlemen, there's something that's been lost for a long time, and we finally have got it back in possession, and we've searched very hard and diligently for this. And don't look blank, Mr. Smith. Could you step down here a minute? This has been gone for a long time. It's now been found. And I want to present, that's Johnny's badge.
Yeah. I want to say thanks. That was one of the most hurtful things that could have happened to me. I honored this badge as much as anybody could honor. The city gave me a badge, which is like this one, when I retired. I give a lot to the city. The city means a lot to me. Always has. I laid up there for about 2.5 months for the city, and I don't regret it. I really appreciate it, Mayor and Council. But that badge that I had, they had it in the front, a little box, shadow box, and it's gone and taken out of my office. So this goes a long ways, and I do appreciate it. Thanks.
He's been worried about that for a long time. Mr. Stoltz.
Yes. Mr. Mayor, there is a public hearing on ordinance number 2013-24, which is an ordinance to amend the city's sign ordinance. This ordinance in its present form was approved by the Planning Commission after a public hearing there, and I declare a public hearing open in regard to the ordinance number 2013-24, ordinance to amend city sign ordinance. Anyone here that desires to speak either for or against the ordinance? Yes, ma'am. If you would come and sign your name.
I received a copy of the ordinance from the city clerk. I didn't know what it was about, and it was so long you were not reading it, and I thought, well, let's see what sign ordinance is about and the changes. So I have read the copy I was given by the city clerk, which is labeled ordinance 2013-24. So let me read what I wrote to you. I have proofread a copy of the proposed sign ordinance number 2013-24, which I received from the city clerk on December 10th. I believe that this copy, which I have received, is the same version which is being addressed by this public hearing and will then be voted upon by this council tonight. In my review of this document, I have identified 18 errors and mistakes and wish to make you aware of them at this time. There are 5 punctuation errors. There are 4 incorrect dates. There is 1 sentence structure that is goofed up. There are 6 spelling errors. There is a reference to something defining the size of a lot according to a lot in Thomas County, Georgia, which I don't understand, so I had that as a question. And there are 5 grammar mistakes. I appreciate the work which went into creating this document. I am well experienced in tracking the many changes in such a project, assuring all parts are included, duplications are eliminated, correct grammar and punctuation are in place, all to ensure that the work product is free of any mistakes or errors, or in any case in which it may be misconstrued. I speak against this approval of this document at this time. I bring the errors and mistakes I have identified in this proposed Ordinance 24 to the Council's attention now. Your approval of this document in its present condition, again, that which I received and was told to be the copy. Your approval of this document in its present condition with all of its mistakes and errors would then become the law of the city and part of the Code of Ordinances to be seen by all who use that document. You, as the council of the city, should reject this document until all errors and mistakes have been corrected. No one should be able to change errors and mistakes in this document after it has been approved, as that could lead to changes in local law which were not approved by its authors, the City Council. Once submitted without errors and mistakes, this document may then be reconsidered by the council. Be glad. It's a nickel, I'm sorry, it keeps getting caught. Anyway, I'll be glad to share this with anybody who would care to make those changes, but again, if you're going to vote on this and it becomes a city ordinance, which is local law, it will contain all of these errors and mistakes. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak for or against the sign ordinance? At this point in time, we'll close the public hearing. No one else has indicated any desire to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Next public hearing on the amendment to the city, let me put my glasses on so I can read. The amendment to the City of Fort Oglethorpe Charter, public hearing on that.
Mr. Mayor, ordinance number 2013-25, amendment to the City of Fort Oglethorpe Charter, public hearing. I now declare the public hearing open for anyone who would like to speak either for or against the adoption of the ordinance number 2013-25. Yes, whoever. Come up. Please sign your in.
This may sound familiar. I have again a copy. There was a black notebook that I believe all of you received, all the city council members and the mayor received, that had a signature sheet in front of it. I got a copy of the document contained in there, which is marked original. So I'm again assuming that what I received from the city clerk is what you have been working off of and you have read. I have proofread a copy of the proposed charter provided to the mayor and council by the Charter Review Committee created by the mayor and council. This copy is marked original, and I received this from the city clerk on December 10th. It is my understanding that the council has proposed to present this amended charter to the voters of Fort Oglethorpe for their approval or rejection. I have been told that this proposed charter which I received is the version that will be voted upon. In my review of this document, I have identified 97 errors and mistakes. and wish to make you aware of them at this time. There are 50, these are not minor. When I say punctuation, a comma in one location or a different location changes the meaning of a sentence. Punctuation errors, 54. Incorrect dates, 4. Incomplete sentences, 7. Spelling errors, 5. Incorrect references, 4. Errors in writing, repetitions, extra words, opposing sections. You say A in this section, and you say exactly the opposite in another section. 23. That is a total of 97 that I have identified. I appreciate the work which went into creating this document. I am well experienced in tracking the many changes in such a project, assuring that all parts are included, duplications are eliminated, correct grammar and punctuation are in place, all to ensure that the work product is free of any mistakes or errors, or any case in which the document might be misconstrued. I speak against the approval of this document at this time. I bring the errors and mistakes that I have identified in this proposed charter to the council's attention now. Your approval of this document in its present condition would then put this same document with no alterations, would then be put before the voters for their approval. Should it then be approved by the voters, this document with all of its 97 errors and mistakes would then become the official charter of the city of Fort Oglethorpe. I have been informed that this document will be available at City Hall should any voter desire a copy to read for himself. By that approach, many who vote will never have read the proposed charter changes. I'm a teacher. Your English teacher would reject this as a draft and direct you to correct all the errors and mistakes. You, as the council of the city, should reject this document for the same reasons. No one should be able to change errors and mistakes in this document after it has been approved, as that could lead to changes in the charter not approved by its authors, the council, or the voters. Once submitted without errors and mistakes, all 97 of them that I at least can find, this document may then be reconsidered by the council and subsequently the voters. 97 mistakes. And ask anybody in the city of Fort Oglethorpe. I proofread everything I read. So that's what I've found. I don't know what anybody else would find. Be glad again to share that with anybody. But I'm not even challenging you to deny a vote on this with all these mistakes and errors. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Come forward. Sign your name, please. And Ms. Depkin did not announce her name, but please do so.
My name is Steve Cooper. Have some questions regarding the charter ordinance proposal for tonight. The official code annotated of Georgia, Title 36, Chapter 35, 3B1 states, municipal charters may be amended by ordinance duly adopted at 2 regular consecutive meetings of the municipal governing authority, not less than 7 nor more than 60 days apart. A notice containing a synopsis of the proposed amendment shall be published in the official organ of the county, of the legal status of the municipal corporation, or published in a newspaper of general circulation in the municipal corporation once a week for 3 weeks within a period of 60 days immediately preceding its final adoption. The notice shall state that a copy of the proposed amendment is on file in the office of the clerk or the recording officer of the municipal governing authority and in the office of the clerk of the Superior Court of the County of the legal status of the municipal corporation for the purpose of examination and inspection by the public. My question is, are we in compliance with the official Code of Georgia, Chapter 3635B 3B1? Who can answer?
I feel like we're in compliance. Now, the city attorney may want to address this too. These are recommendations that the duly appointed committee has recommended. So I feel we're in compliance.
Was the notification placed into the newspaper?
We advertise it as an ordinance. Yes, we did.
Is there a copy on file at the Superior Court Clerk's
That would be
office?
on file in the front office, I would think so.
You did file?
I don't have a file out here with me, but it has been advertised. We advertise all of our ordinances, and they're on the agenda. That's what's on the agenda. That's the normal procedure. That's the way the current charter that we are operating under as you and I speak was presented. That's the way it was advertised. We're doing no different than we did the charter that we're under at this right now.
Okay. I have an affidavit from Tracy Hullander Brown. She is the clerk of the Superior Court of Catoosa County that states that I personally appeared before her to obtain a copy as it is specified in the official Code of Georgia, and no copy was found on file. I think it's incumbent on this council to do your homework, research the law, and be in compliance. Otherwise, we set ourselves up as a city for this to be challenged after the fact for a document that was passed under ordinance that hasn't complied with the laws of the state of Georgia.
Can I address it, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Gray.
I do not think it was advertised for 3 consecutive weeks. The first reading we had on it was 11/21, which was a special call meeting.
Correct.
The second reading was on December the 9th, which was a regularly scheduled meeting. This would be the third, which is a special call meeting. So no, it was not read at 2 regularly scheduled council meetings.
Okay. And it wasn't advertised in the paper, and I have the affidavit from the Superior Court clerk stating that the copy is not on file. So in essence, no components of that law of the state of Georgia has been met. Is that correct, in your opinion?
That would be a question for the city attorney. But if you're asking in my opinion, no, it has not.
Would you care to comment?
I'm not, unless the council asked a question, I can't. I'm sorry.
I understand. Thank you.
I'll ask, what do you think?
Was it properly published?
Yeah.
No. And I can tell you that the only person that is involved in that is me. I take full responsibility.
That answers my question.
Any other people wish to speak for or against the amendment to the charter? Yes, sir. Please come up. Sign your name. And please announce your name when you speak.
Larry Reed. I apologize, I haven't had a chance to read either one of these documents, the signed ordinance or this last one. The only thing I'll address the council is, as the city attorney confirmed, that the amendment to the charter has not met the requirements of the state, and I think it's indicated that that's the case, and I would ask the mayor and the council defer any decision on this amendment to the charter until the next meeting. Thank you.
Is that what we need to do?
It actually needs to be published again with the correct publication and the correct wording, and then it'll be over a period of time, and it has to be at 3 regular meetings.
And does it, you have to wait another 60 days before you can do that?
No, the publication and the meetings can be within the 60 days, but they can be no closer than 7 days.
So it'd have to be at least 21 days
Yes, sir.
from this date.
Yes, sir. No, from the publication date.
Okay.
So we do just need to put this in abeyance till we do that, or?
Well, we're still holding a public hearing. We haven't even gotten to the meeting yet. Anyone else like to speak either for or against the amendments to the charter? Yes, sir. Please sign your name. And announce your name before you speak.
Ron Hodges, and I want some more juice before I talk. Sorry.
On this, one of the things that I want to say something about was all the mistakes in this thing. If somebody will go back, there might be that many mistakes. I don't doubt that, it could be. But the one thing of it is how many of them mistakes was in the previous charter? When we was going through it, we found a lot of mistakes that was in it. But I tried not to change anything that we did not correct or did not change. We didn't go back and just change something because it was not said right. That original charter was composed by a bunch of real good people. It was also sent to the legislation, voted on, and all, okay? But the mistakes in it, if there's mistakes in it, mostly of it is my fault, but we did have a lot of people that went over it and double checked it. Robbie was one of them. Miss Lucky back here is another. We had a couple more, because I'm not the greatest in the world and I'm not the smartest. I wouldn't put on this committee or chair this committee because I was the smartest, because I wanted to get stuff done. But I like to say that a lot of them mistakes was already in the charter, and if they've been there that long, I couldn't see us changing that. And all that was done was taking what was already in there. If we didn't change it or do anything to it, we just left it in there as is. So that would have something to do. And as far as postponing the vote on the charter, personally, as a citizen for Oglethorpe, not as chairman of the Charter Review Committee, as a citizen, I say I want to vote on it. I want it put up there and vote. If Robbie said he made a mistake, that's fine. Still, put it up there, put it out, let people vote on it and let them see what to think about it. As far as one thing I do disagree with, going back and correcting something, you can correct it without changing the intent of what it was done. As long as you bring the original people that was doing it back in there and say, look, there's a mistake here, fix it. You can change it without doing it, and it can be done before the it went before the city to vote. So what they vote on be what they get. And one last thing, if you got a problem with something, you should say something about it. This was, look on that piece of paper that I give you. What day did I present that to the council? It's on that one, it's got the red lettering on it.
Oh,
It was presented to y'all when?
I can see great without my glasses at a distance, but I can't see nothing right in front of me.
That's the way I am now. I had cataract surgery.
October 28, 2013.
October the 28th. Well, I'm an easy one to get a hold of, except the last couple of weeks. Anybody could have said something anytime during them, and we could have went back and done something, found out what was wrong and fixed it. If you got to complain about something, say something about it. At least that's the way I am. But anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Please come up. Please sign in. And state your name.
My name is Ed Holland, some known as Eddie Holland. I was also on the committee for the charter review. And we worked hard on this for 3 months plus. And there's always going to be error or room for errors and mistakes. But what befuddles me right now is coming up here and pointing out all these mistakes in the spelling and the grammar, and then also in the way some of it was written. We had invited the other committee to meet with us, join together forces, and try to work this out together. They refused both times. So in my opinion, if they had joined with us, I think we could have averted any mistakes, any misunderstanding. And to have two committees in the first place is ridiculous. That's just the way I feel, and I hope y'all go ahead and vote on this tonight. Thank you.
Anyone else desire to speak either for or against the charter ordinance? Come up, Ms. Lucky. Sign in, please. Please remember to announce your name. Please remember to announce your name.
Lucky.
I'm sorry it's gotten to this point. May I ask a question? I have to be a voter in the city or live in the city to be able to come before the council concerning this matter?
That's to the mayor.
No, you do not.
Okay. Punctuation. It's been proven off and on over the years. Every time someone new comes up with a new way to punctuate, well, that's the way it's done. And that does not take anything from the content, because a lot doctors, lawyers, ordinary people have their own way of punctuating. And I do know that in reading through the charter that there were some mistakes, but those mistakes were there before any changes were made by the committee. The content that was made with an honest effort. And I don't know what y'all's decision is going to be, but I don't think we should do anything rash. Think about it before you make your vote.
I need to say something, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Smith.
This charter we have now, the legislature, well, first it come from Community Affairs. They sent several sample copies. And we put it together, took their sample and made our charter today. We sent it to the legislators, who I believe have some pretty smart folks down there. They're the ones that wrote that law. Now, all these people here are doing, on this charter review is changing a few words here and there. Now, I guess the legislators, if all that grammar and all that stuff was wrong, I guess you blame the legislators. Because 99% of that charter, they done it. This group just changed a few words here and there. So I don't blame the group, because Lord knows if I was doing it, what it looked like. But I think if there's any blame, it'd be the legislators that wrote the law. They wrote it, the governor signed it, they sent it here. And it's been effective for quite a number of years, so that's just my little spiel about it.
Anyone else desire to speak either for or against that hasn't spoken already for the public, either for or against the charter review ordinance? Please be sure and announce your name.
My name's Arlene Walker, and most of you know that I was the original chair of this committee. I want to thank the gentlemen that all served on the committee. They did an outstanding job. And we all know why we're in this point we are at today, because of recent happenings in this city that brought a wrath of happenings that no city should ever have gone through. It did so because of the loopholes, the way that our original charter was written. There was clarity that needed to come to the existing charter. At the time it was written, it was a very well written document. As time changes, as I know, in being in a medical field, and I write and read contracts in the medical field every day, my field changes daily, as does a city can change monthly or from year to year. A charter can work for 15, 20 years, but as rules and laws change in our states and our cities, so doesn't our charter need to change. So there was a loophole found that citizens in our city did use against the city while we are in the situation we are today. And it's sad. And I am speaking of the recalls that we have, the recall that should have happened and did not happen, because we had in a certain paragraph, in a section in our current charter that read that any citizen could file a lawsuit, which is harsh, and it should have never happened all the way around. Proper protocol should have been in that situation. I don't think I need to go into all the details. We all know what they are. The proper protocol should have been a disconcerted citizen should have come forth to this board and filed a grievance with the grievance committee. We have one. There's a list of 18 names in this city on the wall in the city clerk's office. No grievance was ever filed. They went straight for a lawsuit. We should have done a recall. Proper political correctness. Not once was the proper protocol followed. And that was part of the reasoning for all this coming about, for rewriting the charters. I personally tried to get the two charters together to work as a team. It did not happen, as we know. My letters was not answered, which saddened me. We're all grown-ups. Let's all come together. Any leaders are going to have differences of opinion, but when you come together in a room and you put your heads together and you work together, you can walk out with a joined resolution and come together. I'm having a hard time standing here today and believing that we can have this much disarray in the city. Never in my life, in all the cities, in the 20 years of military, living in all the places I lived, have I ever seen this much disconcern. And it saddens me as a new citizen of this city that I've chose to retire here and live the remainder of my life here. That's why you've seen me here every meeting for the last couple of years. So I just want to say that the charter that was presented towards you is well written. Yeah, there's a couple of typographical errors. Is it going to change the content and the legality of the document? No, it will not. In the mention of the council and the mayor, it's always been the way that it's been. It was clarified, because when you moved around the original charter, it was scattered in different areas in the charter. And what this group did was brought it together in defined sections, kept it in its former format, just brought it together and brought clarity to it, added definitions to it. Because a citizen sitting there reading the charter, it can be overwhelming if you're not familiar with the terminology within the document. Plus the definitions page, the definitions page and the preference page and all that. I feel the group that was chosen did well, as I feel that the group that Mullis chose would do well. It saddens me that they could not be brought together. Again, we're all adults, we're all grown-ups, but I just want to again commend the group that worked together. They were a fine group of men that brought together. I'm sad that there was a technicality or formality that may push this aside for us to lengthen it or erase all the work that was done. Only you can decide that. But I just wanted to say that, and I, for one, am in the position that I was in at the time, am very proud of the work that was done, and I feel it's a very well-written document. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak either for or against the ordinance number 2013-24? This public hearing is closed, Mayor.
Let me call the regular schedule or call special meeting to order. Lewis, would you do the invocation?
Our dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this opportunity to come to do the business of the city, God. We just pray that the people in this city, God, would at some point in time seek you and come together and cut all the backbiting out and things like that, God. We just pray that we understand that division causes a lot of things. And God, only you can bring a city like this together. God, I just pray, God, that as we continue in this meeting, God, that everything will be done decently in order. And God, that the decisions that are made will be conscience-free. God, we just pray now that you would just be with all of our city workers that have served the city over the years, God, and we're proud of each and every one of them. And God, we just ask you to protect them every day in their job as they do it. No matter what job they have, God, you look over them and protect them and be with them and help them to do the best they can in their job. God, we just pray now that you just be with us in this meeting. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of the council minutes from December 9th, 2013 meeting. The council members have had an opportunity to review. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Ham,
Second.
second by Mr. Kistner. Any further discussion? Mr. Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Ham?
Yes.
Mr. Kistner?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Motion carried unanimous. Next item on the agenda is communication from the mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank all the members of the Charter Review Committee that worked so diligently and so hard over the last 3 months. The city attorney who worked so very hard with them. He attended their meetings to make sure we did this proper, and we did. And those members were Mike Bellamy, Steve Brandon, Clarence Crum, Eddie Holland, Ron Hodges, and Ron's here tonight, and he's had surgery on his back and took a lot of courage. Thanks for being here. Ron Powell and Arlene Walker and Robert Stoltz, city attorney. I want to thank you for all the hard work that y'all have done. It's, it's just worked very, very, very hard on this. Johnny, we're glad we got your badge.
Hey,
It's
tell
been
me
a
about
difficult road.
That was really, like I said a while ago, disappointing, Mayor, when that happened. And, it ain't gonna change anything as far as my attitude toward the city. I love the city, and I've served that here for many years, and I'll still do whatever I can to do what's right for the city. Somebody might disagree with me, that's fine. I won't hate you for it. It's not personal. It's business, and but thanks. I mean, this means a lot. It really does. It means a lot.
And you lost a kidney during your...
Yeah,
So
I did.
this is the last meeting, unless there's an earth-shattering event, that we will have in the year 2013. This council has worked very hard and very diligently through the years of 2013. I'm very proud to be a part of this council. We've certainly made our share of errors, but we learn from those errors. Those errors that we've made have made me a better mayor, and I appreciate that fact. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure every member of this council has learned a great deal from the year 2013. Life's not perfect. We all make errors, and we learn from those errors. The trick is, don't do the same errors over and over. Lewis Ham has been a tremendous asset to this council. He helped me tremendously. I took office in November 2010. I hadn't presided over a meeting in a long time. He helped me through that period of time. Clay Kistner came on in March. And there's been some trying times, and I want to thank this council for the job they've done in 2013. So that's all the mayor has. Next item, Mr. Stoltz, do we have anything on the executive session?
No, Your Honor.
Zoning matters, we have none. Ordinance, we have third and final reading on an ordinance to amend the city sign ordinance number 2013-24. Mr. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2013-24, an ordinance to amend Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia Code of Ordinances, Part 2, Chapter 66, signs and outdoor advertising by the mayor and city council relating to signs, to provide for enforcement, to provide definitions, to provide for severability, to provide an effective date, to repeal all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and for other purposes. The body of the sign ordinance is in the clerk's office and has been since first reading. In the event any section, subsection, sentence, or word of this ordinance is declared to be adjudged or to be invalid or unconstitutional, such declaration or adjudication shall not affect the remaining portions of this article which shall remain in full force and effect as if such portions so declared or adjudicated unconstitutional were not originally part of this article. The City Council declares that it would have enacted the remaining parts of this article if it had known that such portion thereof would have been declared and adjudicated invalid or unconstitutional. The effective date of this ordinance shall be December the 17th or December the 20th, 2013. All ordinances and parts thereof in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. First reading November 21st, 2013. Second reading December 9th, 2013. Third reading December 17th, 2013. And Mayor, if I can go just a little bit farther, this sign ordinance was provided by the Georgia Municipal Association as a form sign ordinance that they use all over the state. And it in fact, if in fact we do not pass the sign ordinance, the moratorium will expire on the 20th, and then any sign from any person can be erected in the city of Fort Oglethorpe because we won't have a sign ordinance.
So we'd be in serious trouble.
Yes,
wouldn't we? Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Yeah, I want to make a motion to approve this ordinance and also add to that any mistakes that are in this ordinance be corrected, and I ask that this council vote to put Jerry Depkin in charge of making them mistakes, to correcting them mistakes.
Second that.
Have a motion, or motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Was the addition of that part of the motion?
Yeah, the whole thing I said was part of the motion.
Well, I think by point of order, you have to, what you add to it, we have to vote on the ordinance. Then you can do a motion.
We're going to vote on the primary.
Just the ordinance right now.
Oh, okay.
I got a question. So the ordinance that we're voting on is the same one that's been in place for a long time that has been given to us by GMA, is that correct?
No, sir. The ordinance that we had in place was unconstitutional and was not properly advertised and was not properly published. So we, in essence, did not have a sign ordinance. This ordinance came directly from the Georgia Municipal Association as a form ordinance that they use, which was looked at by the subcouncil, which is the Planning Commission, and they approved it and also had a public hearing.
Okay. That's all I have.
Any further discussion?
Which in fact, some of the, as far as punctuation and grammar could be, this ordinance could be amended.
Yes, sir.
Later,
Yes, sir.
do correct those grammatical errors
Sure.
on that part of it.
Yes.
But we have to have one in place.
Right.
Okay.
Just for purposes and to illustrate what Johnny Smith said, the Georgia Senate and House of Representatives pass legislation each year which correct thousands of grammatical errors.
That's correct.
Anything further, Mr. Gray?
No, sir.
Any further discussion from the members of the council? Mr. Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Ham?
Yes.
Mr. Kistner?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Motion carried unanimous. Next item on the agenda, third and final reading, ordinance 2013-25, amendment to the City of Fort Oglethorpe Charter. Mr. Stoltz.
Yes, sir. City of Fort Oglethorpe Charter Amendments, an ordinance to amend the charter of the City of Fort Oglethorpe to provide provisions therein, to repeal conflicting provisions or parts thereof, to provide for the adoption by the citizens of the City of Fort Oglethorpe, to provide for an adoption date and all other purposes allowed by law. Whereas the duly elected governing authority of the City of Fort Oglethorpe is authorized under Article 9, Section 2, Paragraph 3 of the Constitution of the State of Georgia, and under Article 9, Section 2, Paragraph 3 of the State of Georgia and the Official Code of Georgia, annotated 3651 et al., and the Charter of the City of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, Article 1, Section 1.13D, and Article 7, Section 7.10, to review its charter and make reasonable clarifications and amendments not altering the governmental structure of the City of Fort Oglethorpe Charter so as to improve the public health, safety, welfare, and aesthetics of the citizens of the City of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia. And whereas the duly elected governing authority by the City of Fort Oglethorpe is vested in the City Council composed of a mayor and city council members, and it is hereby ordained by the governing authority by the City of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, that Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia Charter is hereby amended for purposes of clarification as follows. Attached in the entirety, Section 2. If any part of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional, such invalidity or unconstitutionality shall not affect or impair other parts of this ordinance, unless it clearly appears that such other parts are wholly and necessarily dependent upon the part held to be invalid or unconstitutional. Section 3, this charter amendment shall take effect upon the approval by vote of the citizens of Fort Oglethorpe. Just a second, Mayor. First reading November 21st, 2013. Second reading 12/9/2013. Third reading 12/17/2013.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion by Mr. Smith. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Ham. Any further discussion?
Okay,
Mr. Smith?
Robbie, what do you recommend?
Well, it'd be my recommendation that it be properly published.
Okay. So should this be tabled or?
That's council's decision,
Yeah.
but basically it needs, for it to be validly in place, it needs to be properly published.
Okay.
Do you recommend that it be published correctly, spelling corrections? Mayor, excuse me, I'm sorry, I apologize. I apologize for doing it backwards. Truly, I said I appreciate the work which was done in creating the document. I never accused anybody. I never said don't do anything with it. I just said correct the spelling, the grammar, the incomplete sentences. And if you've ever written anything that your grandchild has written, you read that, you will find that sometimes this incomplete sentence, if you attach it up to the front, it means one thing. If you attach it to the back, it means another. So those kind of vagueness that can be moved around, once you declare this to be fine, this amending things after the fact. Obamacare, remember? We won't know what's in the law until we pass it. That's crazy, and we all know that. So I just want to make sure that whatever's going out there to be voted on has the mistakes removed. And I would begin one more time, be glad to share my marked up copy of what I anticipate or believe to be errors. So if we're going to do something, please let's do it correctly.
Any further discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I have something here.
Mr. Gray?
You know, I made a recommendation on the 21st. There's two charter committees involved here. And I certainly appreciate the work that both committees have done. And it is still my recommendation. I mean, we're nearing the 31st deadline for the other charter review committee. I think both of these charters need to be submitted to the legislators. They got people that, they know all these grammatical errors, they know these spellings. That's what they do for a living. No disrespect to Mr. Stoltz, but that is not his expertise. And Mr. Smith said when he passed the last one that they, in fact, that's what they done with it. They sent it down there first. And it's still my opinion that both of these charters need to go to the legislators. We got a Secretary of State, we got an Attorney General that can tell us what is legal and what is not legal. and then let it come back to us. And when we put something out there for these people to vote on, we don't need to waste money on an election voting on something that's not legal. I think Mr. Stoltz has proven that it wasn't advertised and it wasn't conducted at the meeting. So this one, it's not the charter that's in fact not legal, it's the way it was done at these meetings that makes it not legal, even if you did vote to accept it. So it's still my opinion that both of these charters, I haven't seen the one from the other committee, but there's some good changes in this that needs to take place. And we don't need to jeopardize that by putting something out there that in fact may or may not be legal simply because a word was inserted or left out. You know, that's what these people in Atlanta get paid for. They can look at all of it. They can tell us what needs to be corrected. Then it can come back and we can vote on something that in fact, when we spend the money to have an election, is legal and binding, and you won't have to worry about it being challenged. That was my recommendation then, and it's my recommendation tonight. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Anyone else?
Well, from what I understand, the charter that we have now was sent to Atlanta, and if there's any mistakes in it, they sure didn't correct it. They sent it back to us for the citizens to vote for it. And it was voted on by the citizens, and therefore, if any mistakes in it, I don't know who, don't really blame anybody, because it probably was proofread by several different people. And if it was voted in Atlanta by the legislators and there's still mistakes in it, you know, so be it. You know, there is a chance to change and correct those mistakes without changing the whole charter and all. And as far as the other charter review committee is, I understand that there was only one reading of that in the state House of Representatives, and also one reading in the Senate, state Senate. It went into a committee, it never was voted on, and so therefore, as far as what the other charter review committee, whether you want to call it the state charter review committee or Jeff Mullis's and Tom Weldon's review committee, to me, if it hadn't been approved by the state legislators, then it is an illegal committee. And so that's all I got to say.
I'd like to
Mr. Kisner.
I'd like to add to that. I think it's just absurd that we've gotten to the point where we have two charter review committees. It's ridiculous. I think one of the main reasons why the legislators' charter review committee did not want to work with our charter review committee is because they simply were a charter review committee / campaign committee. The chairperson on that committee was on a talk show every night bashing me. There's another person on that committee that owns a local restaurant that posted comments saying that he hopes I go to prison for perjury. I mean, where is the non-partisan, non-biased part of that charter review committee? I don't. It's ridiculous. I mean, it was a campaign committee. They campaigned against me and Lewis. They used that charter review committee to look for reasons to bash me and Lewis Ham. And I appreciate everything that our charter review committee has done. Y'all have worked hard on it, and I commend you for it.
Thank you, Mr.
That's it.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to say one more thing. Now, keep saying change in the charter. You read at the end of an ordinance that if something's invalid, it doesn't change the charter.
That's correct.
Now, we're not changing the whole charter.
We're not changing the structure.
That's correct. They have recommended certain little sections. It's not changing that charter.
That's correct.
I'll put that out.
Pretty much clarifying some of the things that was in the charter to read in a right way, and all in You know, I don't know at this point in time what we should do with it. Pretty much the way I feel, if we was to pass it here next year, 12 months from now, according to what Title 23, I think it is, ever what the title is, it says, they would have in 12 months to bring it up again, and they could vote it all down anyway. So, you know, what do we use, you know, here for anyway? You know, I recommend that since it wasn't advertised as it should have been, we hire people to make sure that these things are done in the correct way. And I'm not putting off on Robbie
It's okay,
at all.
it's my responsibility, I've
And
always said that.
but if it hadn't been done the right way, then, you know, why even vote on it?
Okay,
I agree.
let me make
And
a
I don't think it ought to go to the state anyhow.
under home rule, we can make changes to the charter as long as we don't change the structure of the charter itself. Is that correct, Mr. Stoltz?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we don't need to ask the city or the state legislature for the approval on minimal changes to our charter under home rule. Am I correct?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Mr. Gray, I think you had another statement?
Yes, sir, but the law that addresses the home rules is pretty, I mean, you still got to do it for 3 consecutive weeks.
Yes, sir.
So it still applies whether you're gonna do it under home rule or not.
Whether you're gonna do.
As a matter of fact, the home rule's a little easier, but it wasn't applied.
Whether you're gonna do one small amendment to the charter or you're going to do many portions that don't change structure.
Right.
You still have to properly advertise.
Exactly.
Now, that's,
Mr. Smith?
is that for 7 to 60 days, right?
It's, what it is you can hold meetings no closer than 7 days apart. Is what it is.
Any further discussion?
But it has to be at a regular meeting. It can't be at a special call.
Well, actually, this meeting is a special call meeting to replace the regular meeting on the 23rd, which the city employees will be off. So
It's a holiday.
pretty much it's a regular meeting.
Any further discussion?
I mean, everybody's wanting to stretch things here, so give me the liberty to stretch it too.
Any further discussion? Mr. Gray?
No.
Mr. Ham?
Nope.
You
For the reasons that it hadn't been advertised right.
Okay.
And I appreciate all of you on the committee. What a great job you did. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Mr. Kistner?
I really appreciate all the work y'all done. I really want this to go through, but considering it wasn't advertised right, I had to vote no.
Motion failed 3. It failed. So next item on the agenda, resolutions none, unfinished business none, new business none. If I can turn the page, we'll get there. City manager report.
I have none, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
City council comments. Mr. Gray.
Well, the upcoming holiday season, just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Mr. Ham.
Yeah, I'd like to just say that I appreciate everybody over the last 8 years that supported me. And I really do. It's been my privilege to be on the city council and to represent the citizens of Fort Oglethorpe. And, you know, it's a shame that we come down to the end like this with all the controversy that we have and all. And my vote just a minute ago on not doing that wasn't because people got up and said you ought to not vote on it because there's a whole bunch of mistakes and stuff like that. It was solely because it was not advertised correctly. I think the charter, they did a great job. I think everything that was changed, or not changed really, but just clarified, needed to be clarified. In fact, Robbie and I had talked about this a couple of years ago on clarifying some of the wording of the charter and all, and you know, it needed to be done and all. But I appreciate the citizens of Fort Oglethorpe and all, and appreciate them supporting me. And just hate for this to be the last meeting and all. But I appreciate all the councils that I have been working together with. Started out with Harold Silcott and all, and a lot of times during that time that he was on there, we didn't see eye to eye with a lot of things, but we got the job done. I appreciate the mayors that I have worked under and all, Judd Burkhart, Ronnie Cobb, and Lynn Long. They've been great mayors. I know that some people might have different opinions of all three of them, but that's okay. You're welcome to your opinion. Ronnie Cobb and I, we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, and we sat in his office and talked many a times about different things and all. But I do appreciate what he did for the city of Fort Oglethorpe in the time that he was mayor before his timely passing. And he asked me to be on some of the committees, the DDA. He asked me to be on the TPO, the Chattanooga, Hamilton County, North Georgia TPO, and to help him out on that, and the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission and all. And I've been gratefully that I was on those committees and tried to help the city of Fort Oglethorpe in the ways that I could on those committees. Some of them, especially the TPO, it's sort of a hard committee to understand and all, and to know exactly how that, since we're in the metropolitan area of Chattanooga, how that can work for North Georgia. And I have found out that it does on a federal level and even on a state level, because we have some people from the Georgia DOT that's also on the TPO. And so it does help and all. In a lot of projects that I entertained for the city of Fort Oglethorpe area and all have been put on the 2014, 2017 TPO list and all. Now, whether they actually come to fruition or not, hard to say. It's always the money issue and all. But I have thoroughly enjoyed serving the city, and I really mean serving the city. That's what sitting here in this seat is about, is serving the city, and I appreciate that. Thank you. And I'll still be around.
Thank you, Mr. Ham. Mr. Smith.
Yeah. I want to wish Merry Christmas to everybody. I've seen a lot. Y'all are liked in my time since I've been around here. I've seen them hanging in the windows over the old place. I've seen some of the stuff over there, just unreal. I mean, getting up, screaming and hollering and call the police and everything else. I hope that as the new year starts, this is nothing personal. I don't want it to be personal. I hope I can get along, and I know I can, for me, get along with the new council. This is not the end of the world. This will be here when all of us, gone. I've seen a lot of things come and go here. Many council, mayors. I got in politics here in the city way back in the 70s. I've seen it change. I mean, have I saw it change. And downtown was over here. I couldn't have dreamed that we would have all this down through here. I just couldn't believe it. If you'd have told me 30 years ago, all this is gonna happen. But now look at it. You know, we have our ups and downs, and you'll hear people say, oh, they fighting for Oglethorpe. Well, guess what? Maybe something was done right. Look down Battlefield Parkway. Look how we've grown. So in a way, I guess that's a compliment to our city and our county. Even though we fuss and fight a little bit. But in the long run, we get along if we just try. And that's what I hope we can do in the coming year. That's all I got to say, Mayor.
Mr. Kistner.
I'd just like to tell everybody Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And it's been an honor to serve as a councilman for 9 months. But, you know, I appreciate everybody that supported me and believed in me. It means a lot to me. I really had a great vision for doing things for the city of Fort Oglethorpe. I hate that it's got cut short like this. I feel like if a lot of people that voted against me would have truly got to know who I really was, I would have easily won. But considering the circumstances we was in, I feel like I was just dropped off in a war zone and was in a fight for my life the whole time I was in office. I never truly got to spend any time doing any city business. I was too worried about lawsuits and litigation and everybody firing at me. I couldn't do city business. But you know, I do appreciate everybody that supported me. And you know, there are some of them that didn't, just ought to be ashamed of some of the things you've said about me and stuff. It's just been ridiculous. There's nothing that I'll miss about what I've been through, but I will truly miss being a councilman. This has been a dream of mine for a long time. I finally got here, and I'm not walking away from this with my tail tucked between my legs. I will run again, and I will sit up here again one day. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Kistner. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.